Okay. I said to myself, that I would consider relaunching this channel if and only if there was something of substance to talk about, and this news seems to be just that. I don't follow, for those of you who don't know, I don't follow the mainstream media. I don't watch the news. I don't keep tabs on what's going on in the entertainment industry the way I used to, because I realized it's all lies. It's all lies. And a lot of rubbish. I mean, we have the likes of John Campea and Grace Randolph giving us information about entertainment. Just look at John Campea. Just look at him. Just fucking look at him. Would you buy a car from him? So if you wouldn't buy a car from him, if that miserable piece of shit tried to sell you a car, you're like, you would say no. You're not interested. Same goes for the bimbo bitch known as Grace Randolph, whose only claim to fame, the only reason why she got any followers, is because her tits. Years ago, she got a following of horny 13, 14, 15-year-old boys. She's like, she tries to be their mom, but also, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. Smart people out there know what I'm saying. She's using her sex appeal to get those young boys. And now these young boys are in their 20s, mid to late 20s, early to mid 20s, maybe a little older. And you got some men following her too. And it all goes back to her titties. She used to walk around showing them titties. She'd be at a movie premiere. People would come out. She'd ask them about the movie. All the while, the people watching her on YouTube were just looking at her tits. That's the truth. And you know me, if you know any of the different versions of my channel here on YouTube, you know that I tell nothing but the truth. So, with that all stated, I've decided to give my 2 cents about this whole SnyderVerse debacle that's going on. I gotta take a sip of this, because this is a doozy. This debacle is a doozy. And I find it hard to believe. I actually really do find it hard to believe. So, as you may or may not know, I am not a fan of Zack Snyder. I'm not a fan. I remember going to the theater to watch the remake of Dawn of the Dead. It's okay. Didn't offend me because I wasn't a hardcore, Romero fan anyway, so it didn't matter to me if it was a remake. I didn't get offended. But it's alright, as zombies pictures go. After watching Romero's version, though, much later, I agree that Romero's version is way better. I went to the theater to go see 300. Never read the graphic novel. Was a fan of Frank Miller. So, okay. It's alright. I liked it. But then the news that this guy had acquired what many comic book aficionados consider the Holy of Holies. Watchmen. This man acquired the directorial duties for Watchmen. And I'm not one of these fake phony frauds who say that Alan Moore was above, one of the greatest writers in the world. I was a fan. I'm a fan still. And his work is unique. But I also remember that back in the late 80s, when around the time Batman 89 was being worked, they were working on Batman 89, or, between that time frame when it was about to come out, I remember an interview that Alan Moore gave, if we're to believe the magazine. I don't remember which magazine it was. It was either Starlog. That's how old I am. I remember Starlog. Or Comics Scene magazine, which I think were owned by the same company. And if we're to believe the interview, Alan Moore was all for Watchmen movie. What happened between that interview and later? And y'all can, if you do research, it's hard. It's hard to find that magazine interview. I tried. It was in one of those two magazines. I know for sure because I read it. I don't know what happened between that interview and later. I don't know if Alan Moore got screwed out of some money. I will say this. Maybe Alan Moore, along with a lot of other people, creative people behind what we know as Batman, got screwed with Batman 89. That has come to light. That has come to light so many years later. And I'm not just talking about Bill Finger, because Bill Finger, rest in peace, was already gone by that time. But there were a lot of people whose characters they helped develop, or in some cases create, got screwed by the producers of Batman 89. Certain characters were changed and given different names just so that WB didn't have to pay them. Rupert Thorne became Carl Grissom. Silver St. Cloud became Vicky Vale. The name escapes me now. There's another Bullock became Eckhart. So a lot of people who worked on establishing the mythology of Batman got screwed, and maybe Alan Moore was one of them. Maybe. We'll never know. Unless the man himself says it, we'll never know why he changed his tone as far as movies are concerned. So, Zack Snyder, director, the new visionary director of Watchmen. One of my first well, not my first, but one of my most popular videos back in 2009 was what I felt about the Watchmen movie. It was still in development, and what I felt about Zack Snyder directing. And back then I knew it should not have happened. It should not have happened. The movie came and went, and I was proven right. It just doesn't hold up today. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's the truth. That's the truth. It was a mistake back then, and it's still a mistake. It's still a big giant mistake, that whole film. Because when you have people who don't understand the material they're dealing with, changing important aspects of the story, I don't care how much it looks like the comic book. And in some ways, thank goodness they recently released an animated version made to look like it was rotoscope of Watchmen. And that kind of took away the hard feelings I still had to this day of that live action movie directed by Zack Snyder. So I realized that for a man like Zack Snyder to actually think he was capable of directing what many believe not necessarily me, but many others believe is undirectable. Told me a little bit about the dude. He was either believed his own hype and was a megalomaniac, or he was on something. That's the only two extremes. You got to be crazy or on something to make you believe that you could do it. And I'm not saying he is on something. Don't get it twisted. But those are the only two type of people that would actually attempt the task. He wasn't humble. See, anybody else with common sense and reason, you got to be out of it one way or another to actually think you could direct a movie based on that story. It told me a lot about his character. It told me a lot about him. So when the movie basically failed box office, and for the most part critics, because there were a lot of critics that were nice to Zacky Boy, I thought, okay, well, that's basically it. It's over for Zack Snyder. He'll still direct some shitty action films, but he will never be given anything of that caliber again. Then after some Al movie that he did, which I guess was really to fulfill a contract. Maybe he had a certain amount of movies that he had to make for a particular studio. So he directed some stupid Al movie that I hear is good. Didn't watch it. Doubt I'll ever will. Then came out a little old movie by the name of Sucker Punch. The opening scene of Sucker Punch. I wish I still had the video archived when I gave my review of Sucker Punch, because I know a lot of you ain't gonna believe what I'm about to say. When I first seen Sucker Punch, that opening sequence, ripped off right out of Superman 78. And I said to myself, this motherfucker is making a bid for Superman. Fuck what Sucker Punch is about. Fuck my personal thoughts about the movie. I didn't hate the fucking movie. But with the opening sequence of Sucker Punch, with the curtains opening up, I knew what the son of a bitch was after. He was after Superman. After DC comic book characters. I knew it before it was officially announced. Those of you who were there with me so many years ago, who watched me do that video, can attest to the fact that I predicted that Zack Snyder was going to get his grubby hands, those are my words exactly, on Superman And who knows, or at that time, who knew what else from the DC comic book gallery. I predicted it. I predicted it. Just from the opening sequence of Sucker Punch. He was making his bid. That's why the movie is the way the movie is. See, the movie wasn't for y'all. It wasn't for us. And if the movie makes no sense, Sucker Punch I'm talking about, it doesn't matter. Sucker Punch was Zack Snyder's showing the powers that be in Hollywood that visually he could produce a superhero film. I don't know, I don't remember right now whether or not I think WB released Sucker Punch. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Let me just quickly see here. Sucker Punch movie. Warner Brothers Pictures. I was right again. It wasn't made for us. It ain't made for y'all. Sucker Punch was made for WB. So that they could see, hey, maybe we can give this cat Superman. But you see, I remember. I wasn't the only one that was flabbergasted by the possibility of Zack Snyder attaining Superman. I wasn't the only one. A lot of people out there, a lot of YouTubers at the time, got nauseous and vomited on the idea of WB giving Zack Snyder the reins over Superman, the reins over Batman. WB had to convince them. Let me fix my shirt here. WB had to convince the fanboys out there. Who could they get? Who could they get to help implement the seed, the idea that Zack Snyder should acquire Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman? Who? Wait a minute. We know. We'll pay off. This is my theory. I can't prove any of this. Christopher fucking Nolan. If Christopher Nolan, who became world renowned by directing The Dark Knight, were to put his stamp of approval and produce a Superman movie directed by Zack Snyder, the fanboys will follow it. Didn't they call him God? Weren't you fools out there saying, in Nolan we trust? You made that man a god, and you followed him like he was a god. Well, there's no need for me to go through the debacle, the mess that came afterwards. Man of Steel. Movie couldn't even get its own sequel. It went right to Batman v Superman. Wonder Woman at some point threw in the Flash, or at the very end they threw in the Flash because that son of a bitch, Ezra, was making a mess. Cyborg, poor Cyborg never got a movie. And that joke of an actor, what's his name? I don't remember his name. That joke of an actor from the Conan remake as Aquaman. I don't have to revisit. Y'all know what happened. Whatever. So like many of you, I went through it. Some of the movies were better than others. But one thing we can all agree on is it was a mess. It was a mess. It was a mess. The SnyderVerse was a mess. The only positives, for me anyway, were the casting of Henry Cavill, who should have been Superman. Should have been Superman from the start. He should have played Superman in Superman Returns. He auditioned for it, he should have got it. But because certain directors were attracted to other actors, poor Henry didn't get it. Finally, Henry was cast as Superman. And I never was a hater of Ben Affleck. And quite frankly, if he was given the right opportunity, because we only get glimpses at it, because when Zack Snyder is directing a movie, you only get glimpses at something. He's really bad at storytelling, at developing a character. But I said to myself, if given the opportunity, just like George Clooney, had George Clooney been given the opportunity to give us Batman, he would have knocked it out of the park. Home run. I feel the same thing about Ben Affleck. And I understood the Batman Ben Affleck was going after. He was going after that Frank Miller, gritty Batman. And let me say something. Ben Affleck might have not convinced all of us about his acting skills, but he is a good director. And had Ben Affleck been given the opportunity to direct himself in a Batman movie, I think we would have got probably the greatest Batman movie ever. But alas, that opportunity never came. It's already a half hour here. So, okay, what is all this about Hollywood God? What is this diatribe about? Why are you going on and on? You digressed from your original. Here's what this is the point that I'm trying to make. The news now is that the SnyderVerse is coming back. WB might get bought by the right people who are willing to bring back Zack Snyder, willing to bring back Cavill, willing to bring back Ben Affleck. Nolan was also mentioned in the mix, so I don't know what that's all about. Maybe just to put some more clout like the last time. Get the fanboys behind them. I support this news. I am behind bringing back Zack Snyder for one reason and one reason only. And again, as I stated at the beginning of the video, this could all be hype and bullshit to, stirring the pot up. With that said, there's only one reason why I'm behind bringing back the so-called SnyderVerse. One reason and one reason only. I hate James fucking Gunn. Hate him. With a passion do I hate James Gunn. He stinks. He's a prick. He's a piece of utter shit. Now, there is some bad to this SnyderVerse thing coming back. There is some bad. It just might mean that Snyder is gonna direct more movies. This is what I would do if I was in charge, had a say in this whole debacle. To keep the Snyder fans happy, I would keep Zack Snyder in a producing capacity only. Christopher Nolan being a part of it doesn't mean anything to me. If they want to call him if they want to make him an executive producer, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. But there are two elements that have to come back. There are two essential ingredients that have to come back. Ben Affleck as Batman and Henry Cavill as Superman. They have to be a part of this deal. I don't give a fuck who plays Cyborg. I don't give a fuck if they use Aquaman again or not. I don't care if they recast him. Matter of fact, this is an opportunity. Recast him from that imbecile who's been playing him. Recast him. Mamia, whatever the fuck his name is. Get rid of him. And have some common sense. Have some common sense. And recast the Flash. Me personally, I would also recast Wonder Woman. But at this point, I'm willing to accept Gal Gadot. Even though, again, I feel that an Israeli Wonder Woman is not Wonder Woman. Especially now, with the genocide being committed by Israel. You don't need an Israeli Wonder Woman. That's not who should be playing Wonder Woman. I still believe that Gemma Atherton would be perfect. But that's my personal opinion. So, I endorse, if this is true, if this actually happens, because it is quite insane what's happening with WB. If they get bought out by, apparently Netflix might have bought them out, or might have, but it didn't happen. The acquisition of WB might come with or without Dave the Slave, the CEO. I hope he gets replaced. Hey, you want to give Nolan a position? Get rid of Dave the Slave, the Slav, the slave, whatever the hell. Give it to Nolan. Give it to Nolan. If Nolan wants to be part of it, make him CEO of WB. I can't imagine him saying no to that. That's it. That's all I want to say. That's it. That's all I want to say. Sorry. I'll leave in the description. I'll let y'all know to watch it on 2.0 speed, because I took longer than usual, because I wanted to give you a context of the whole situation, my own personal opinion, my experience with Zack Snyder and his SnyderVerse, before I gave you my 2 cents on the matter. But you need to get rid of this James Gunn piece of shit. You need to get rid of him. You need to get away from him. He single-handedly destroyed the reputation of Superman. Matter of fact, every copy of James Gunn Superman should be acquired and burned. And burned. Welcome. This is your first time on my channel and its new rebirth. Welcome. Please subscribe and like the video if you want to hear more from me. And till next time, peace.